Hey, this is Chris Foreman, and you're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Taylor, and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, brought to you by the Marvel Cards Fan Collective, an awesome community of card collectors and creators. You can feel them around you now, just giving us a warm hug.
Ooh, I feel it. It's warm.
They're a group of cuddlebugs, except for maybe two. You can find our two groups on Facebook, details of which are at the end of this podcast, so come check us out. With me, as always, is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. He's sat there all alone with the biggest mofo mittens and proving once and for all that Bernie Sanders memes can be audio as well as visual. It's Norrin Rad.
Beautiful. Beautiful. He looked so cozy, though. I mean, I will say this. He did look comfortable. And it's cold out there, man.
It's January in Washington, D.C. It was January on the East Coast, full stop. But, yeah.
Yeah. It started snowing. Poor guy.
But yeah, it's one thing that's brought utter joy to the internet this week.
Finally.
Hashtag Bernie memes. I even did one for our podcast. Man. We've got an episode coming up.
I saw that. I was cracking up. Yeah, I love that. I saw you in your tux. I was like, that was a good picture to pick.
I spent more time than was healthy working on that, and my wife just tutted and rolled her eyes. But no, there are some incredibly good ones out there. It really is.
They're great.
It's just a
lot of fun.
One of them, literally, I snorted coffee all over my 5-year-old as she was having her breakfast. we had to wash her hair afterwards. My wife was not best pleased. So anyway, welcome everybody. Hello. It's just the two of us this week.
It's just the two of us.
It's
just the two of us.
It's been quite a start to the year, isn't it?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
So Uncle Bill.
Huh?
We had Uncle Bill as our first episode.
We had Uncle Bill, which was crazy.
Uncle Bill.
He was a trip. He was the best, man.
And then Travis.
Travis was fun. So cool to hear about all those sets and everything coming out.
The Brand Master.
Brand.
I'm so on brand. That's actually how he spoke when he was not on air.
Yeah,
Travis.
He puts up a real performance, but he talks like a dungeon master, so it just makes sense.
Looks like one with his.
I love his beard. I'm not gonna lie. That is the craziest before and after I've ever seen.
And I thought
it looked good.
Scanlon's plague beard was good, but that.
I know. Yeah, Peter was distinguished. Travis had the whole persona going thing.
Well, yeah, not poking sticks at Travis, but Peter's in education. He's an educator. Was Travis
an educator?
So
let's weigh those out, shall we?
Yeah. And then, of course, the wonderful Bob Budiansky last week.
So cool.
Uncle Bill and Uncle Bob.
He was nice, man.
So yeah,
he was a trip, but it was crazy to hear about. It's crazy to hear that he was really one of the main figures to kind of give us Marvel trading cards.
Yeah,
including stats, facts, all the stuff that kind of continues today as a tradition and call back to those beautiful cards. He was
absolutely the
person who kind of grandfathered that in.
And what's interesting to me, we spoke to him and we spoke to obviously Ken Baroff, who Bob worked very closely.
It was great
on those sets, and of course this should be the case. So we kind of approach it as like, oh yeah, brilliant, this is fantastic, this is wonderful, and they're like, we were just doing our jobs, and they, of course they didn't have the benefit.
Yeah, I know.
They couldn't see 30 years down the road and realize how. Kind of,
they were just having fun, coming up, being inventive,
and getting paid at the end of it. It was work for them. So, it's very interesting. But anyway, it's just us. How have you been? How's your year going?
I've been great. Been good. Just we're looking at houses to rent to get out of this apartment complex. So we're in the middle of that. So I'm actually boxing up some collectibles I don't want to get damaged. I got my little card box, my Pelican case over here.
Ooh, nice.
So I've just been organizing, going through things, selling, it's, I mean, everyone does this, right? You start looking at your collection. And I've dabbled into a few other things, pops, statues, things like that, video games, stuff like that. But, just kind of getting a hold of what I want to do with my collection, how I want to display it. So I'm selling all the stuff that don't fit.
Fair enough.
Doesn't fit the parameters anymore.
That's perfectly fair enough. And we all. I did say this once before. Do you remember when I had a little downsize of my Black Cat sketch collection? I've done it twice in the past 2 years, and the first time,
that was smart.
I remember I posted.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember I posted, and my wording went something to the effect of, much like a 70s bush, it needs trimming from time to time. But you've got to do it. 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 Anyway, I have a feeling.
I disagree. I'm all natural, man. Okay.
I think I've just lost half our audience. And for the other half, I salute you.
They're like, well, there goes MCC Pod.
There goes. Yes, Apple are like, nope. Press the red button. Oh
God!
But you have been on a bit of an adventure, and I know that you guessed it on our friend Greg's Rebel Base Card podcast. And I haven't heard all of that episode yet because I think you recorded it just after Mandalorian season 2 had finished. And so I sat down, and I was at that point only on episode 2 of that season, and so I sat down to.
Yeah, you were behind for sure.
Yeah, I sat down, and we've caught up. I finished it like two days ago.
You finished it, yeah?
Yeah, we finished it.
Yeah.
So I sat down, and bearing in mind at the point when I sat down to listen to it, I was sitting here, and you and Greg were having a wonderful conversation. I was looking forward to hearing about all your adventures with The Mandalorian, because I know you've been going on adventures, which is what I want to talk about in a moment. And then Greg drops a spoiler for the last episode. And I'm like,
damn you, Greg.
Mother. And I actually broke something. I was so pissed off. I broke something up there. I can't remember what it was now. I think I might have put it in the bin. But I was so, and I was like, oh. And then,
God.
You were just having a chat, and I think it was cool. It's fine. Yeah.
What a trip.
And I didn't want to make Greg feel bad at all. But I was just like, I can't listen to this.
Well, it's funny too, because I don't think a lot of people know this, but like you got The Mandalorian much later than US citizens.
1. Yeah. Season 1 we did because Disney Plus didn't launch in the UK for about 4 months after it did in the US.
Okay, that's right. So did you get season 2 around the same time we did?
Yeah, exactly the same time because Disney Plus is launched in the UK. However, we don't have Disney Plus, so I have to acquire the episodes via other nefarious and.
Oh, that's why it takes you longer. Right.
Well, there's that, but there's also the fact that because I'm watching it, the only time I've got to watch stuff is when I sit down with my wife of an evening, and we've usually got a couple of things on the go. So
right.
One thing to finish, then we can start something else. And yada yada yada. So, anyway, so I have now finished Mandalorian season 2. So. We are briefly going to talk about it. So, for anyone who hasn't, and it's a month post watch, but I don't think we're quite out the statute of limitations because people might have not have watched it yet. We are going to talk about spoilers for about the next 10 minutes.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Because I want to get into
it. I'm in.
Before we talk about Marvel cards. So fast forward 10 minutes from now, people. Okay? If you don't want to hear spoilers for the end of Mandalorian Season 2. So at the point I stopped, Greg said, Luke. As in, because Luke Skywalker shows up in the last episode.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
I was like,
damn.
And I was like, oh, my internet connection is apparently unstable. Oh, dear. Well, we'll press on.
You came back. Not much disappeared.
Well, not much disappeared. Because the audio is recording locally at this end, so...
Oh, okay, so perfect. Yeah. Well, damn, that's a horrible thing to hear on the podcast. Shit.
Yeah. And then I read somewhere else online it was just a passing comment on Twitter because I have to be on Twitter. I can't just avoid Twitter, especially for weeks on end, because I'm doing promo for the podcast. So I'm on there, and someone says something about the Razor Quest just being a splash in the dirt, and of course the Razor Quest got destroyed in episode 6, which is the Mandalorian ship. Yeah, I mean, no coming back from that. It's
no, it's obliviate. Yeah, it's gone.
Which makes me wonder what he's going to fly next season. In fact, it makes me wonder what the next season is going to be, because it's definitely it's ended in a way that's considerably puts it on a different tangent, shall we say, in terms of the
what do you mean
stories. Well, because the Mandalorian, the whole journey has been about him and the child.
So it looks
and the child went with Luke.
Yeah,
Luke came and got him.
I think came and gone. Honestly, I mean, I think it's really interesting to see what's going to happen to the Mandalorian. I think he's definitely, Din Djarin is definitely going to be wrapped up in the middle of the whole like Darksaber quest with Bo-Katan, and I think that journey will continue off in that direction of in a way saving Mandalore or whatever.
And Boba Fett is going to have his own series.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do, but basically, so now the Mandalorian season 2 ends, we go into the book of Boba Fett, and then Mandalorian season 3 doesn't come back until 2022.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, see, I wasn't sure. Yeah, so basically they're taking a break, so we won't get season 3, which I think it won't be like a season 3 of Mando. I think it'll be like the larger quest for the Darksaber Mandalore thing.
Oh.
So you know how like Disney Plus announced all those different shows that they're going to do?
Yeah.
So I think they're going to what's the word? They're all going to come to a final crescendo type of thing, similar to like Avengers Endgame or whatever. So I think we're all moving towards this bigger thing. Yeah. So, that's where Disney Plus is heading with that.
It looks like we're probably going to get an Ashoka, whatever her name was, because I wasn't aware of that character because I don't watch any of the animated Star Wars.
Oh yeah, she's great.
So my one and only experience ever is from that Mandalorian episode, played by who plays her?
Rosario.
Oh, I love
Rosario Dawson. Oh, she's wonderful, man. She was at the inauguration. How crazy was that?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, she's dating. Oh God, what's the senator's name? Nice guy. I forget his name now, but she's dating him or engaged him or whatever. So we had a Jedi sitting on stage.
That's hilarious.
It was pretty cool. But
she was going out with Danny Boyle, the English movie director, for a fair bit of time.
Yeah, that's right. I thought so too, but then I saw her and I was like, wow. But no, she's great too, man. She's in a bunch of great movies. But yeah, she's gonna uphold that mantle. But Ahsoka, I think I'm pronouncing it right. She's like the Luke Anakin. She's like Luke, not Anakin. She's like Luke Skywalker for the whole like Clone Wars type of thing. Like she was Anakin's apprentice. That's how we're introduced to her in Clone Wars. No. So then, so she goes on her own journey to find this really bad dude, this Imperial bad dude. I forget his name. He's like an Imperial general, but he's like one of the. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard of him.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blue guy, big, tall blue guy. I don't remember, but that's his name. I know. He looks very different, so hopefully not.
Shit going on.
But I'm excited to see where they're going to go with it, man.
Cool.
I'm really stoked.
And then Obi-Wan.
I fell down the Mandalorian heart. Obi-Wan, my favorite Jedi.
I know.
That's going to be crazy.
Talk to me then about because we're bringing it back to cards now.
Yes, please.
Tell me about what you've been doing with Mandalorian. Forgive me if you told this on Greg's podcast.
No. Please. No. Okay. So, all right. So here we go. And this is a good conversation for Marvel card guys and ladies. Okay. So when you do cards, you run the risk of falling into other IPs and cards. Ian and I have done this many and many a times.
Holding up his NFL
Ian's got
cards.
into Lost. Now he's into football.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So here's the thing that happens to many card collectors. I'm sure everyone can sympathize with me on this on the show out there in the audience. For me, I saw The Mandalorian. I was like, holy hell, this is amazing. I finally got like my Boba Fett character, but he's a good guy, so I'm ready to go. And I fell madly in love with the character. So I was like, you know what? I do want to do the card thing. Let me do the card thing. So I started. So Topps now, which is on Topps site, they release cards sometimes. And what they did for the first time was release a Mando trailer set. So they did like a Skywalker trailer set, which Ian and I heard about from Greg. Anyway, so that was the gateway drug. So you suck, Greg. Anyway, so then that got me into there.
Yeah.
And I went ahead and went into the trailer and season 1. I didn't buy any of the autos because I was waiting for the Pedro, the Mandalorian actor, to pop up, which he never did. So then I had that set. And then I kept going, right? And then season 1 cards started coming out. I got all those. I got my little rainbow. And then I found Masterworks, which is basically the equivalent of Masterpieces, which is my bread and butter. Right? I love Marvel Masterpieces. That's my favorite set, favorite series of cards. And it's the one I tend to invest more of my time and my PC too. So for me, and we're going to get later into this conversation, so I won't jump too far ahead. But for me, because I don't have a lot of money, I have to kind of choose where I lay my PC into, because PC's PC, right? PC you don't sell. And I really don't sell my PC. You know what I mean? Like when there are things I'm absolutely madly in love with, I just don't sell them. I keep them as long as I can keep them for and all this stuff, unless tragedy or something happens. But I tend to keep all my PC stuff, like the Surfer stuff. No one's ever going to come up to me and give me money for Surfer. That's never going to happen. That's in this case over here, the plates, the amount of money I've spent on that, that's always going to be here, right? That's why I won't buy the Silver Surfer Red Spectrum MM16, because that's like $3,000. And I am not willing to pay $3,000 for something and stick it in a box.
I'm with you.
Sorry, that's just not what I'm into. Mm-hmm. But I found Masterworks and I was like, oh God, like it had the quality, the card stock, the photo, it had the rainbows, it had the printing plates, and I was really excited. So it's a higher price point, and those are the products I like the most, is the higher premium ones. It's just my taste. It's just the way I collect. So I found that and I went hard into that stuff. I was able to actually get a Pedro Pascal autograph card, silver frame, and that's out of 5. So Star Wars Masterworks. So, and that's the first set he signed for in terms of it being Masterworks. That's the first Masterworks set he signed for.
And that's the actor.
So I was able, Yes. So I was able to get his signature, which I'm really grateful for, because those things just do not exist. And I got it for a price that was much lower than it would be if it hit eBay and stuff like that. I was able to trade some of my Pokemon graded cards and some other stuff and did a cash offer. And the guy was really nice. He lives in Canada, super sweet dude. And I was able to lock it down, and so be it. And then I got a sketch card as well. That's by Carlos Caballero, I think is how you say his name. Pretty much one of the best artists in my opinion in terms of the Star Wars sketch cards. So I was able to lock my two grails, my 2 hunting objectives for that set, for having my little Mando display. You know what I mean? I got really dorky and bought the Hasbro Pulse helmet. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I got a Mando helmet. And you know what? I am going to wear it around. Good. I don't care because I'm excited.
Well, then you're complying with the mask mandate.
See? There you go. I'm social distancing and being a bounty hunter. Yeah. So suck it. So I have that. And then I have the 2 cards. So I kind of had that display in my mind. I showed you in my drafts of like what I was writing down and what I wanted my little checklist to be. So I got it. And that was the end of it. So now I'm selling off the other things that were the stuff that I kind of tumbled into to get to where I'm at with the Mando collecting. So now I kind of, that's a long story short, but I think that happened over the course of
Well, that's happened. Kind of. It was basically December and first of January.
Oh no!
So that's what I'm saying. You've done all of that since the last time we had just the two of us recording.
Oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Because you went in, you've missed a step. Because so you were buying the chapter sets from.
Oh God, you're right.
They were doing chapter sets. Did you do the chapter sets for season 2?
You know what? I didn't and the real reason was I got the first chapter sets, and you know me, I'm not a set collector. I was excited. I'm glad I got them. I really am. But I'm just not a set collector. I don't know what it is. I like to see my cards in the magnetic holders, out and about, and boom. Yep. So when I was looking it over, I was like, oh man, if I deep dive into season 2, that means I have to deep dive into season 3. And I really, really don't want to be in that. You know what I mean? I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of having a full binder of all those cards. It's just not me. I've tried multiple times. You know, poor Ian sees me keep trying to do sets. I just can't do it. I don't know what it is. I just can't keep them and have them in binders. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe one day. But yeah, so that was doing that for a long time. And then
Mandalorian.
Yeah, in December is when they.
Yeah. Mandalorian season 1 set.
Right. So then I got a
rainbow for that.
Yeah. So
tell me about that.
And I rainbowed that very quickly. Which I do want to keep. I got offers.
I thought that was going to be
sell.
Part of your display, because you literally do have one particular card, and I think you should keep, because you've got one of those. So for people who don't know, what's the really limited one of that rainbow?
So basically what happens with Star Wars stuff, since it's a cinematic release similar to the MCU, what they do is that every time a new show comes out, they have a card set for the show, right? So when Yoda was first appearing, they had Journey of the Child, and it's like a 35 card set where you can just buy all the cards in one box. You get a couple of parallels, and you got Yoda pretty much everywhere. Then when the Mandalorian, that's the baby Yoda. So that's Grogu. So then, Jesus, I'm such a dork, but I love it. And then Mandalorian season 1 came out, and the card set for that show came out. And basically there's tons of variants. They even have a Pedro Pascal auto, but it's sticker. And the crazy thing about that auto is that they only have the 1 of 1 and 4 plates. So only 5 of his cards are in that whole thing.
Wow. Okay.
And I think 2 plates have been discovered. So there's still 3 hanging out there somewhere. So people are still buying those boxes in case. This is why they're expensive. So if you do look on the show and you are interested in buying the stuff, seeing that they're $150 when they were released for $100 or $70 or $80, the reason the price is there is because there's only 5 of those cards in there, and everyone's still hunting him.
And this is Mandalorian season 1, which came with a Mando head tin. So
yes. Yep. So you had a hobby box, you had a hobby box, which was a tin, which is why I got one. I got a Mando sketch in mine by Tim Shin, nice. Which I really like. But the tin is a hobby exclusive, so you can get that at card stores. And then the ones you can get at Target and Walmart were 10 packs. They were called blister boxes. Oh. And those boxes, basically, it's kind of what you were doing with Skywalker, with Rise of Skywalker, I think it was, Ian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can get that at Target, Walmart, and stuff. Now, the difference primarily is that in the hobby box, you're guaranteed either a sketch card or an auto. In the blister box, you're not guaranteed anything, but you get 10 packs instead of the 7 that come in a hobby box.
Okay.
It's nice. It's a nice give and take. I mean, I've experienced both ends of it now. And I really do like that about Topps, because there is a way of set collecting without having to like we're going to actually talk about this in the show about card spec and our ideas of getting a good card in a box and all this other stuff, and I think a nice little compromise there is you get more packs, but you're not guaranteed a hit, while people who spend the premium price on a hobby box get the hit and not as many cards. It's kind of a cool little compromise. I'm definitely living for it. I'm pretty impressed by that arrangement, actually. But yeah, so I got the rainbow for there, trying to hit the auto, because I didn't really understand what Masterworks was. You know what I mean? And like I said before, I don't have a lot of cash to invest into this stuff. Most people can crack cases. I'm never going to be able to crack cases like people and hunt for things. I just don't. Just not going to be able to do it. So anyway, Yeah, so I did that. So I got there, and then Masterworks was announced, and then Mando was in Masterworks and his signature on card.
Got
So then it just started ticking boxes for me. And then when I started getting the set, I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to go into this.
So what's
I can't believe that.
in the Mando Rainbow? Tell me
Right, and I totally neglected to forget the whole thing, the reason why we started this. So here's the things about the variants for the Mando Season 1. There are 2 1-of-1s. There's the 1-of-1 that's just on a black card, right? It just has a black border. So these cinema cards are horizontal, and around the card, you have a particular color scheme. So you have white, blue, purple, I think it's red, something, gold. Right. And it goes from 99.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like 99, 50, 10. Yeah. And then you get a black, which is a 1-of-1. Ooh. And now the really thing that was special about the hobby boxes, exclusive to the hobby boxes, were the Beskar variant. Now, the Beskar variant is kind of like your metallurgy for MM 2020. They're just as thick. I've compared them actually because someone sent me a metallurgy to sell for them because they live somewhere else like a while ago. So I was finally able to see one some time ago now, but I was able to compare it. They're nice and heavy. It's really cool, but it basically looks like the base card front and back printed on metal. And that's another big difference we should be aware of with some printing plates for Masterworks. Plates in Masterworks, printing plates, don't have a metal back and a sticker. They actually have the same back as the base card.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool? I'll show you one. But yeah, so they have the same back as the base card. So they don't do the sticker metal thing. They actually print the back of the card on the metal.
But
it looks great.
Okay. Yeah. So Norian has left his microphone.
I am right here.
And he's gone to get it all out of his. So are you going into your Pelican case? Does the Mando stuff live in the same case as the Surfer?
You know what? It does. Kind of like my spot rainbow. Like I have a little section for my one-offs on what I went for. Yeah. So I have my spot rainbow and I have my Mando rainbow. But see, you see this?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting.
All right.
So that's the plate.
So I'm holding up to Ian the base card of Masterworks, as well as a printing plate of Mando, the magenta. And one is 1-of-1 and one's just a regular base.
And what card number is that?
But the printing plate has the same backing.
What card number is that?
Number 1.
So you went for number 1 and you rainbowed card number 1.
I don't have the gold yet or the orange 10 because it hasn't popped.
But you can get those. You've got the 1-of-1s. That's the main thing.
Yeah, so I have a printing plate, which is a 1-of-1. So I have a 1-of-1. If I don't get the gold, I don't get the gold. I can live with that because I rather have, and this is my preference, of course, I rather have a printing plate as a 1-of-1 than just a color variant that's a 1-of-1. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's my thing. But what I am missing is the orange 10. But yeah, so I rainbowed this, missing the orange 10, a sketch booklet by Carlos.
Nice.
And the silver frame auto. So Mando, Pedro Pascal only did the wood variants, which is out of 10. He only signed the wood variant out of 10, which is on card. The silver frame, which is out of 5.
Which looks amazing.
4, which looks really nice. The 4 printing plates, which 2 or 3 have popped up and sold.
That's from season 1.
And then no, this is the Masterworks.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize the printing plates were in Masterworks. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So they have printing plates in Masterworks and the season 1 thing. And the season 1 thing, it's a printing plate with a sticker. In Masterworks, there's printing plates that are horizontal, like the autograph card, with a signature on plate.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a
there
sticker.
Was a signature in Mando season 1. It just happens to be a sticker on the plate.
Right. And there's only 5 cards in Mando season 1 that had sticker autograph. So and then Masterworks was the first time you had a card. Yeah. Was the first time you had a card that you can pull out of a pack with signature on card. So it gets really deep, people. When you do these kind of things, best thing you can do, honestly, is to look at the year prior. You look at the year prior, you look at eBay sales, you see what people were into, what's still looking good to people, and what you're going to like the most in terms of aesthetic to the set. And then you kind of join a group, and people were kind of mean to me a little bit in that group here and there. I will say that. You know what I mean? I think they were like, because I'm I think they were a little upset that people were coming into the Star Wars world just because they were fans of Mando.
Yeah, but I can equate it to, some of the reaction to the new people that came into MMC when Magic, when Dave Palumbo's set was released, Masterpieces. Masterpieces. Sorry, I almost said Masterworks then, because we're crossing the streams here. Masterworks.
Crossing the streams.
That sounds amazing. And I know, because it's hilarious, because you really haven't been around that much. You're like, no one's off on a side quest.
No.
It's one of those cats that leads you off on a side quest,
Well, it's true because, I didn't go into MM 2020. I went into MM 18 hard and still am madly in love with that set. I didn't go into 2020 as hard. And I kind of was leaving me kind of like not being able to do anything. But I was watching Mando and I was like, oh God, do I want to do this? I remember talking to Ian and I was like, Ian, do I go down this road? Oh. Do I not go down this road? But it's nice though. Like I made the parameter for myself. I was able to grab what I need to grab. I sold things to make up for it. Nothing for my PC. Now I'm just hanging out here.
You were doing really well.
I lucked out.
I tell you what's interesting. I've gone after the vintage collection action figures, the Mandalorian ones, which is crazy.
Oh God, those look so cool.
But yeah, that's what I've gone after.
So
which is why I was saying to you, you should get one of those just to go in the middle of your display.
I'm going to.
But
I'm definitely am.
They are beautiful, and they've only released about maybe 10. And I think I've got about half of them so far. So yeah.
Wow.
More due to come out. But
I love that old stuff. You know what someone did? There's a sketch artist. I don't know if he does Marvel cards. Ali Sherman. I don't know. I'll find his name for us. But he actually did the sketch card in a way where it like shows the it's like a corner of what those boxes come in. Those old action figures, the vintage. Those silver borders. Yeah. So he put the silver borders in the card and then sketched the figure as it appears on the back cardstock of the action figure. Amazing. No, it's really cool. That's like really cool. I think I haven't got an AP in a long time, but I might ask him to do a Mando one because he didn't do a Mando one pack. So. But it's really cool. Like it's really smart. It's like really, really cool.
Listen, we've gone on a journey. The last thing I'll say about Star Wars, and then we'll get back to Marvel cards, and we'll segue with our artist intro in a moment, is that my daughter has started watching Star Wars. She's 5, and we've been doing one a week. I was a bit nervous about it because she used to be so scared of giant size to her, life-size Darth Vader cardboard cutouts in stalls, like when she was 2 or 3, that she wouldn't go down the aisle. She was scared. Aww. But she's kind of got to the point where she's like, she's into it. And so we watched Star Wars, and I've got the only DVD release of the original 1977. There was a release that had a bonus disc, and it was the only time they've released in digital format, apart from maybe the Laserdisc that came out. The original before Lucas started fucking with it. And so I was having a watch those. So we did episode 4 because you've got to do it in that order. Episode 4.
You have to.
And she wasn't entirely sure what was going on. She's still not quite sure about Chewbacca. And then Empire Strikes Back. I told her there was loads of snow, so she got quite excited. So we did that the following Saturday, and we got some popcorn and we sat down and watched it. And at the end, where there's this one, this isn't a spoiler because it's 30 years ago, 40 years ago, even, crikey, where Darth Vader says to Luke that he's his father. She just turned to me like this, open mouth, and went, "That's his daddy?" And I said, "It's his father. I don't think he's ever been his dad." Because there is a difference.
He hasn't been around for that.
Yeah, one is but the work of a moment. The other one is a lot of work.
Work of a moment.
Yeah,
love that.
And then Return of the Jedi. Of course, she loves the Ewoks. And she kind of already. I'd given her some hints just to make it a bit more easier for her to have a hook, and so she knew that Darth Vader was going to become a good at the end. Is he a bad? And there's one thing, she hasn't got a clue what the uniforms are. So every single, she's talking through the whole film. Is he a good? Are they the bads? She goes. Anyway, so we did Phantom Menace yesterday. She hadn't got a clue what was going on.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the test. Did she like it?
She did, because she wants to see Darth Vader as a little boy.
Right.
That was the hook, The next one,
that's adorable.
Darth Vader was a little boy. She doesn't really connect with or remember. I said, "Do you remember Obi-Wan Kenobi?" She said, "No, who's that?" I said, "Well, that's him when he's young." She was like, "I've got a clue." Anyway,
question of the hour.
Go on.
What did she think about Jar Jar Binks?
She thought it was funny, but she's kind of like neither here nor there. I mean, she'll pick up more on repeated viewings. The beauty of it is I get to rewatch it. I haven't seen Phantom Menace for over 10 years. So it's the first time.
Yeah, I resaw it too recently. Funny enough, when you said you were doing this with your daughter, I kind of rewatched them myself.
And then Attack of the Clones I haven't seen since cinema, so there'll be that. And nor Revenge of the Sith. So these are going to be like first time in almost 20 years I've watched those.
Yeah.
The only thing is, Revenge of the Sith is the one that's in the UK. Our movie certificate ratings are different to yours, but so Phantom Menace is a U, so suitable for all. Attack of the Clones is a PG, which is parental guidance, and then Revenge of the Sith is a 12. So no one had to.
Whoa!
So yeah,
that's a big one.
So I'm gonna see how she does with the next one, and we'll see. And then of course I get to rewatch the sequel trilogy. And then, of course, I'm going to go back and find Ewok's Caravan of Courage and Escape to Endor, or whatever they're called. I'm going to go and find those. I love those. So yeah, we're doing it anyway. So I'm
oh, that's adorable.
On that quest. So before we jump into what we were going to talk about, we spent an hour talking about Star Wars. I want to talk about our intro artist, Chris Foreman. Chris Foreman. You can find Chris Foreman. Should we just say Chris Foreman to each other for the next half hour?
I'm down.
Chris Foreman.
No, Chris Foreman.
Chris Foreman. It's not
Ian,
Malkovich, isn't it?
It's Chris Foreman. Okay. God.
All right. But Malkovich. So in this episode of Being Chris Foreman, you can go to his Instagram feed at Chris Foreman Artist, and Foreman is spelled Foreman. And you can see all sorts of high intensity shizzle. I'm hoping knowing you're looking at it at the same time.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. So you scroll down his Instagram feed. There's all sorts of gorgeous stuff on there. Oh, look at that Jay and Silent Bob. That's hilarious. And he's got some cool stuff on there. He's got Back to the Future Lego on his
I've
Instagram
always liked
feed.
this stuff.
Look at that Back to the Future Lego. Sorry, you're not.
I know that actually looks really cool.
So, you know what?
I'm looking at it.
Are you looking at it? All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. With
Right.
Doc. Yeah, I'm looking at him.
Doc and Marty.
Yeah.
Scroll down. He's got some pretty good cover work there. His sketch card cover.
Yeah. Is that what is this? The anime Hero Academia? Is that it?
Oh yes. But
that Juggernaut is amazing.
Yeah, I'm just getting to that. So that's an X-Men cover that he's done. Juggernaut. That is really good. He was on Masterpieces 2020.
That's right.
I know he's been on an enormous number of other sets, including Premiere. Because look, there's a Premiere Wolverine, and that's done in the style of Days of Future Past cover.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool. I love that. In fact, he's a recreation of just that little section there. That's really cool. I love that. But he's been
wow.
It's really good sets. Chris, I love your work. Yeah. He's in the group. He does all sorts of have you seen his Silver Surfer Black there, by the way?
Silver Surfer Black. I was looking for that. Well,
down.
I saw his Ren and Stimpy, and I was like, "Oh God, that looks awesome." Yeah, I'm seeing his Silver Surfer Black now. That looks great, man.
That looks cool.
That looks great. He even did the hand. That's really cool. Liking that.
See, now I'm looking for the Ren and Stimpy because I can't.
Oh, go down. Keep going down.
That's what she said. Sorry.
Nice. That was good though.
It was good. Yeah, Stimpy.
Toast.
Idiot. Powdered Toast Man. I love
idiot.
Stimpy. You idiot.
Oh, so much fun.
I loved Ren and Stimpy. Season 1 was absolutely off its tits.
Yeah,
and then because the guy who did the voice for Stimpy was John Critchvalusi, who was the
classic
creator. No, not Stim. Hang on, Ren. Hang on, which one's which? Ren is the Chihuahua, Stimpy's the cat. The guy who did the voice of Ren the Chihuahua was the guy who created it. And then I think they gave him the boot after series 1 because he was doing so much. Like, it was supposed to be for children, and yet it's properly intense. Ren.
It's mental.
Yeah, it is absolutely mental. You think South Park was full on. And then look at some of these APs he's got on there. I'm sorry.
He does great work, man. He's always done great work.
I've just seen the horse from Ren and Stimpy. No, sir, I don't.
Oh yeah.
We might.
So fun.
Loads of people have done Powdered Toast Man and Log from Blammo.
Powdered Toast Man.
Oh, Log from Blammo. Oh, what comes in pairs, rolls down your stairs, runs over your neighbour's dog. It's good for a snack and fits on your back. It's log, log, log. It's log, log. It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. It's log, log. It's better than bad, it's good. There we go. Sorry.
Damn. I can't believe you remember that. I'm so impressed.
All of that. I used to.
I'm so impressed.
Anyway, Chris, I might need some Ren and Stimpy APs from you because these are brilliant.
I love that. Man, that's great.
But
that is freaking great.
Loads of really good Marvel. We should do a Ren and Stimpy podcast.
I'm in.
Let's do a Ren and Stimpy podcast. Anyway, Chris, I love it. You've done Ren and Stimpy. It's anything else is good.
Yeah, man, you killed it.
But you've done Ren and Stimpy, so go check out his work. He's a fine-looking man. He's very talented, and he does Ren and Stimpy. So his money is always good here.
He's a winner in my book.
He's a winner in my book, not a wiener, a winner. So let's talk about the hype train. The hype train.
The hype train,
which is happening at the moment. So on an episode that hasn't been released yet and won't be for a little while, we talked about there's a guy, I think he's what you'd call an influencer.
Yes, that's right. The Gary V guy.
Gary V, right? Yeah. And influencers, I've always because we've done marketing campaigns for stuff I've worked on where specifically influencers are targeted to, because they've got all the followers to talk about your products and they do kind of, co-promotion things. And I've often wondered, how one becomes an influencer, so.
I hate to tell you, Ian, but we might actually be.
Am I an influencer? Oh, I've made it.
I think we are. Anyway. I hate to break it to you, man, but I kind of think we might be a little.
Good grief. Okay, well, if any of our artists actually get some work off the back of doing the intros, then we know that's true. But I was thinking about this, and he was posting about what the next overlooked area would be, and one of the 4 options. There were some quite bizarre options on the list. One of them was Garbage Pail Kids. Anyway, one of them was Marvel cards. So, and from a point of view of just getting into it and kind of speculating, I guess. As a lot of sports guys do. There's a whole area of the market, and it's always existed in sports, where people flip, where they speculate, where they buy stuff. And, depending on the performance of a player, if you keep a stack of rookie cards from X player, then, and he does really well and his team wins the Super Bowl, then you're going to be able to sell them for a lot more. So that's very crudely the background behind how that kind of economy works.
Functions, yeah.
Yeah. But, of course, with the boom and, everything going on in cards over the last year or so, maybe a bit longer, actually, some people have been saying it's been happening on the sports side.
It's been nutty.
It's crossing over. So you get people coming into areas where they hadn't before. And we're seeing it with Marvel, with the price of sealed boxes of Marvel Universe 1, Marvel Universe 2, Marvel Universe 3 from 92, Marvel Masterpieces 92. Seems to be very focused around those kind of 4 products, bizarrely enough.
I think everyone's looking at MM92, They're looking at MM96. They're looking at Marvel Universe 1990.
The first one.
And maybe 91 as well. But those seems to be the main focus of people who are coming in from the sports side of things. And they're buying those sealed boxes, one of two reasons. And I think the major thing that I think people are going to have a hard time with, and this is just, again, spec, is with cards sticking to each other and the gloss and them not being properly stored. And they don't know that because they haven't cracked those boxes like Ian and I have, and like everybody else in our group has, who's been doing this for a long time. Those 96 cards, some of them do stick, man. I've seen great openings where they don't, but once you have that stick, no matter what you think has happened, that grade is gone. So a lot of people either do two things. They're either buying sealed boxes to hold sealed boxes because sealed boxes are collectible. And sell them as sealed boxes, which is my opinion. Like, if you're going to get into sealed boxes, just keep them sealed. You know what I mean? You don't know what's in them. If you want to open them, if it's an investment thing, if it's fun to crack them open, then rock it out. Ian and I will say that every day. Opening a box of Marvel cards from back in the day when you were a kid as an adult is the coolest feeling in the world. Like, it's so much fun. But I think a lot of people also, speaking to Amanda, some people are buying these sealed boxes to crack them and grade them. To grade these cards in hopes to get a gem intent. And let me say something, because I think it's important, because if people do listen to us, I don't want people spending money on things needlessly. And this is my opinion and Ian's opinion, blah, 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 blah. Just because you pull a card from a pack does not mean it is gem intent.
No.
It's not.
No,
it's not. And I know that sounds absurd. And you're like, well, then what's a 10? I know it sounds really stupid, because you would think a card coming straight from a pack would be a 10. It's not, everybody.
No,
it's really, really not. Trust me. It's really not. Like me personally, all my Silver Surfer Gem Mint 10s, I didn't get them graded. No. I bought them graded on eBay and I paid the premium for them. And I did, because you know what? Because I know the impossible task that's ahead of me. And the slight chance of getting a 10, or I speak to professionals like Amanda or other people who grade professionally, and I, ask for their help, because it's a tough little thing to snag, in my opinion.
So. Yeah. And the other thing about that is that there's a slight tangent on that, is that people are holding the sealed boxes to sell to people a little bit down the line and make a bit of a profit on that sealed box. And the person buying it might not be a sealed box collector. They might be wanting to themselves break it and then try and, and do that. So effectively, what people are doing, and there's been a fellow who's been in one of the groups, and every couple of days he posts looking for these 5 holograms, really sharp corners, good centering, and he keeps posting it to the point where it's like, okay, I'm not sure if no one responded 2 days ago, you're talking to the same audience. I'm not sure if you're going to get the answer.
A flipper.
But basically, yeah, he is, and that's the only reason he's in the community, because he wants to get them, he wants to grade them, and then he wants to sell them for a high value because he's got them graded. That's absolutely fine. If you want to do that, I don't have a problem with it whatsoever, if that's the route you want to go down. But one thing I thought was interesting is that you saw lots of I think you posted it on your Instagram feed, the Stan Lee card from that set graded, and the values that is achieving. Now, it's an iconic image.
Oh, the fanfare one, the one we talked about with was Bob?
Different. Yeah, it was. Bob was telling us about the artist who did that work.
Yeah, it was Stan Lee's neighbor who painted it.
That's right. Yeah.
For Stan.
And Bob came and got him involved in the set creation, and he's credited. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am hopefully going to see if I can track down and speak to that young man as well.
That'd be lovely.
Because I think he would have some interesting stories to tell. But back on topic. So that Stan Lee card, that iconic Stan Lee card, engraded, seems to be seeing a bit of a
resurgence. Yeah,
values.
That card's always been kind of like looked at as like one of the rare cards from the set. Graded, and the holograms too, because those holograms are infamous for not being centered. You know what I mean? They're a nightmare. So that 1990 set, the one those holograms, any hologram is a nightmare to get a 10 on. I know right now they actually have a Surfer 9 from GMC or whatever that grading company is, which, I don't really know them. They have a 9 on there and someone listed it for like $2,000.
Okay.
Thinking they're going to get that, absurd money. But
GMC in this country is General Medical Council, but so the interesting, one thing that is interesting, and there's a lot of speculation about this, is that there have been, and there's a particular listing with Marvel Masterpieces 96, which someone flagged, and I think very wisely, and we have seen some evidence of auctions that have ended. So people go and look at sold prices, and then of course that has been bumped up or it's been bought by either someone operating the same account, just to give the perception that the prices are doing that. And I'm not sure how widespread that is, in all honesty. So when I look at those, but because it plants that seed of doubt in my head, I look at the things like those PSA cards for PSA is the grading company that Amanda prefers and uses, and so it's the one I automatically go to in terms of my head because I see a lot of her content. And I've got a couple of PSA cards, and I think I've got maybe 3 graded cards, and I think 2 of them are PSA. And people prefer the different grading companies depending on how they prefer how the cards look. And how they think it's played. Personally, I like PSA because it's the one I've seen the most, and it would match the rest of my stuff. But other grading services are available. Beckett, for example.
And Beckett looks great. I love Beckett's slabs.
Beckett looks cool,
I really do.
And they look different. So
huge fan.
Anyway, but because of the fact that those companies have a massive backlog, much like everyone else at the moment, because of the boom in cards over the last year, 18 months, and B, because of COVID.
Yeah.
So, it takes a while. So if you're going to send stuff off now, there's quite a long wait to get stuff.
Like 6 months. It's an insane amount of wait. Yeah. And it was long before, but 6 to 8 months is what they're telling people. So that's unless you do the express thing or whatever.
So that's the kind of thing. So basically it's all about people getting them graded, which seems to be the factor. Either leaving it sealed or busting it in the hope of pulling really clean centered cards, because as you say, it's not a guarantee.
No, it's really not. And I've been on that end of like opening packs of cards that were kept really nice. So no sticking, good or air conditioning rooms and all that stuff. And you just don't know, you know what I mean? It's a factory that's doing this stuff, you know what I mean? And I understand people's aggression towards grading. I do. I get that. It's just for a different type of collector, man. If you're the type of collector,
forget about
it really. I mean, I get it.
Just in terms of grading, whether or not it adds value or not, people are really.
I mean, I think here.
See, I think you think I'm talking. I'm not talking. No, I'm not talking.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I wasn't talking. My mouth wasn't moving.
So my internet, I guess my internet connection kind of slowed down. So it sounded like you were talking. I didn't want to jump over you, obviously. But okay, so my thing is 100%. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to stick by it too. 100% grading your cards adds value to them. Period. Not your value, not the value of the collector, not the value of whatever.
That's worth to them.
Monetary, right. Money value. If you're reselling your cards and you have a Gem Mint 10 as opposed to a raw card, I 100% know for a fact that the Gem Mint card will always sell more than the raw. Always. Unless the signature is weird or wonky or they don't trust that grade.
Yeah.
But a graded 10 is always going to sell more than a raw card. That's just nature. That's just what it is. But it doesn't have to add value to your collection. It just depends what kind of collector you are. You know what I mean? Ian and I are very different collectors. As much as we are similar, we are very different, right? I would prefer to have a Gem Mint 10 collection. Ian would prefer to have all of his sets that he's personally curated over the years, and that's the journey and the significance of his collection. You know what I mean? It's thorough, it's by his hands, it's that kind of collection. You know what I mean? And that's phenomenal. There's nothing less or more by either collection. So I think that's what happens. I think when you tell people, hey, your collection's not worth anything unless it's graded. Yeah, man. If you're telling someone the collection they've been putting together that's important to them is not worth anything because you want to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on something, yeah. I think why wouldn't that be polarizing? I mean, that seems kind of ridiculous to say regardless.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. That seems to be the argument I see a lot in our group and other groups, unfortunately.
I think there's a bit of a bleed over from comics as well, because there's a lot of even more so. I mean, the number of I'm not so much in them now. I'm still members of them, but I don't see the stuff. But the number of comic groups posts I've seen that have turned into dumpster fires very quickly, where someone has posted something about grading and people have just piled in. Because in comics, I mean, I get it with comics because, if you're sealing it, you can no longer read it. And I get with
that I get
preservation aspect to it, and I think that preservation aspect is the main thing that carries through for cards, because if you're preserving it, then it cannot deteriorate anymore. The corners can't get bent, especially with a small card.
The paper won't age.
Yeah, especially if it's an autograph card. It seals it. It's chances are it would have been authenticated in the process because they were recognised. Actor signatures that have appeared on cards, whether be they on sticker or be they actually on the card. So I get from a point of view, if you've got a card that is, for example, a Robert Downey Jr., which ungraded is still worth thousands.
Yeah,
you'd want very expensive to preserve that. And grading itself might add a little bit of extra value to that, but that in itself has an intrinsic value. So you're preserving it and you're keeping it in the condition at which it would be. The weird aspect of it I get is when you're looking at the Stan Lee card from that set, which by the way was produced in hundreds of thousands of them. There are hundreds of thousands of them out there
for the 1990.
For the 1990,
the face one.
Yeah. And maybe it's just because it is an iconic image and because it's Stan.
Yeah.
That it has that appeal, and so then if you grade it, even if someone else doesn't own any of the other cards in the set, a comic collector will get that Stan and put it on his display with his graded comic books. So I guess that's the other aspect to it. You're able to
and I think
take that card and sell it to a different market.
Yeah, it is. Poor Ian. My internet, or I forget. I don't know whose internet's being slow, but poor Ian keeps stopping talking. I'm like, do I talk
I'm so sorry.
Do I wait? I'm so sorry. I see your beautiful hands, though. I mean, your interpretive dance of what you were saying was very on point.
It was good.
But I do think you're absolutely right, though. But that's what people are doing with these graded cards, right? They are playing next to them. They're putting them next to their statues. They're putting them into the displays. They have their one-off, and I do think that's what adds value. Looking at 90s cards, the way of the future for me, and this is again spec. This is not truth. This is just based on what I know. 90 cards being graded at 10 is the future, is how those 90 cards are getting actual value.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's it, because they were overproduced. They're massive. People who are buying Marvel Masterpieces 92 boxes for $500 a box, you're going to have a rude awakening, man, because those boxes are plenty. And people are hoarding that shit, and they will sell them, and they are just letting people buy them for expensive amount. Yeah. But that Stan Lee thing is considered a rookie card because it's his first card appearance, all this kind of stuff that people say to give it value. You like it, you get it, and that's it. You know what I mean? But those 90 cards, in terms of adding value, I have a friend on Instagram, Turkey Birdie. I don't want to say his real name. Yeah.
I know of him. I don't know what his real name is. I don't even know if he's in our group, but
I don't think he's in our group. I think he's only he's like a sports guy, but he's been doing Marvel for a long time. I've known him for a while now. Yeah. And he does a full MM96 Gem Mint 10 set, missing 12 cards. The guy's been working on that forever, and he's killing it. But he saw very early in the market how sports was working, and sports cards, man, it's kind of like MTG, right? When people came in from the Magic world, they were buying Dave's paintings at $2,000, $3,000, $6,000, $8,000. Ian and I were both like, well, I'm out. You know what I mean? Not because it's like expensive, just because we're out. But the MTG guys came in because they were dropping $15K for a magic painting. Like, that's the competition they're normally dealing with. So when they came into our world and they saw those paintings, they were like, well, this is baller. I'm not going to miss out on this opportunity to own a Palumbo piece. They went ham, you know, and congrats, and smart move doing that, you know, grabbing them when you grabbed them. But they just play at a different level. But that's the thing we're seeing with the sports guys and women. They play at different levels. So when they're coming into the Marvel game, we're thinking, shit, people are just dropping money on this stuff. This is the boom.
Yeah.
But I honestly think part of it too is the audience is growing.
Yeah.
And the people who are coming in are very much dealing with a very different price point. They're dealing with like $100,000 cards, $30,000 cards, $50,000 cards, you know, serious game that doesn't exist in the Marvel world at that level.
No, and the only aspect of it that where it does exist is the MCU, because of the
exactly
outside of cards. So I think it's very interesting. Ultimately, everyone collects in different ways. I have a bit of an issue with a collector who might collect to because they want to invest or speculate, pointing at the way that collectors who don't have an interest in doing that, you know, I collect, you know, for me personally, I collect what I like. It's nice if it holds the value that I might have bought it for, but that's not a motivating factor to me in any way, shape, size, or form. You know, I'm collecting Marvel anime because I love the set. I'm not collecting the whole set. I've chosen elements of it that I'll collect, and you know, once I get to that point, I'll be happy and I'll move on to the next. I know what my set goals are for Marvel Annual. I know what my set goals are for Masterpieces 2020. You know, I'll be chipping away at those for quite a while, and that is the joy I find in collecting. You know, I'm not a collector who you know, does it for financial gain. You know, happy owning and having that collection gives me enormous happiness and satisfaction, and that's ultimately the type of collector that I am. But there are other collectors where they might be collectors in that they're acquiring them, but they're not collecting them for the same reason, if you see what I mean. They'll be collecting them because they want to resell them or acquire a load of them and then maybe, you know, release the value in them at some future point. It's never a good podcast when you can't hear what I'm saying, is it, dear? No, it's not. No. My internet connection's unstable again, isn't it? Yeah. My bloody internet connection. I don't know. You can't take
it. Bloody internet connection. My bloody internet connection.
You're gonna tie it to the back of a bus, and you're gonna give it a swift kick and say, "Go on, get down the dog and duck and have a pint, a packet of pork scratchings. Come back here and do your job, internet connection."
You told it.
I've got no idea. It'll probably break up again. We're having a fantastic conversation, but for the fact that when I get on one, you can't hear.
We are, but yeah, it's just me though, so don't worry about it. As long as it's recording on your end, then everybody else will be able to enjoy.
Yeah, I know, but the whole idea is that you hear what I'm saying. So
I know that's true.
Off it.
I feel bad. I feel bad. It's not something we can help.
All I'm saying is different collectors collect in different ways, and where I ended up, where I think you lost me, is the fact that some collectors they collect to acquire multiples of things that they can hold and then release the resale value of that once it either gets graded or once the market moves up, you know, in the same way you'd buy any commodity and then, you know, buy low, sell high. You know, it's that whole market consumerism, not consumerism. What's the word?
It's a strategy, right? It's an economic strategy.
It is. But
it's just the ability to invest and flip.
Yeah. There's anyway, and you know, if you're doing that and cards happens to be the thing you do it for, then absolutely fine. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. But I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not sure that just because you're one, it means that the other is wrong, and that is what I've seen creeping in a lot. And I think we've got to be really careful with that, because as a community, as a hobby, it's just going to be like those multiplayer online games of Halo, where you're just trying to shoot at the other people all the time. There's all trying.
I think for me, no, you're absolutely right, though. I don't think, look, in any hobby, you should never tell someone else how to collect. I think that automatically ruins the hobby, right? Because it ruins the passion for the group, and it ruins the ability for everybody to have a good time and feel like, everyone's rooting for them, which I think is so important in a hobby. Like, I love that. Like when people post stuff and everyone's, great card, or, you know what I mean? I always go out of my way to like people's posts when they share things, even if it's not my thing, because I'm like, you know what, man, I'm so glad that thing makes you happy. Yeah. Cause that's cool. Cause the world is hard enough as it is, It is, it really is. So, and for me, I think the big problem with that, with people who talk that way when they invest in something, is that the only way for their investment to actually come to fruition is if everyone else jumps on board. And
this is where I'm back to the influencer, because the thing that I find, and this isn't me having a shot at Gary Vee. I know very little about him. I'm sure he's a lovely chap, but it's over the way that things work now, where someone goes, look over here, quick, buy orange juice, and they go and buy orange juice and flock, and then someone shouts over there, no, buy pork belly, and they go and I'm going back to the whole trading places thing at the end of that movie, but it's like just because someone says, okay, yeah, everyone flocks over there and buys that, it kind of burns it, and then they flock somewhere else. So who's to say that this isn't going to be okay, that Marvel gets a bit of a burn on that front, and then people move on to a different sphere, or it could be a complete evolution of how people perceive Marvel cards.
Look, in my opinion, Marvel cards are leaving the price point they once were. That's a fact. They're not going to be there anymore. You know what I mean? I don't see how we can ever go back down. I thought it was going to go back down with MM16. Remember how fast that jumped in price and how crazy? Yeah. I kept saying, I was like, you know what? There's no way a card can sustain a $400 price point.
Nailed it. We're influencers. Episode 50, baby. What happened since then?
No, but like, I guess what I'm saying is that, like, here's the thing, right? And it comes back to what we always say. If we, which I don't think we are influencers, but if we are, I hope we're influencing fun and a nice space, not just telling people what to collect and what's going to be an investment.
And that's the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I'm a little different than Ian. I don't like to, how can I say this without sounding like a poser? I don't want to get into something that doesn't increase in value, because what ends up happening for me is that I grab it and I really like it, and then I spend the money that I would normally spend on something I really, really like, but of course it's something that's really, really expensive. So then I can't fund my hobby anymore because I've decided to collect all this other stuff that I really liked. Like, I love anime. Look, do I wish I can collect every card from anime and have a full master set? Yeah, I'd love to have an archive set. That for me sounds like a lot of fun. But at the same time, if I put all my eggs in that basket and then something comes along that I really want, I can't play the game.
Yeah.
And I'm out.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, and exactly. And you're similar to me in that you've only got finite resources.
Right, exactly.
The difficulty I get is that I try and chase everything on those finite resources, whereas you're much more focused. But yeah, that's not right,
it's
not wrong.
And Ian will complete a set over years. I just don't have it in me like that. He's very committed. You know what I mean? And other people are like that. You just have to look, man, like anything else in life, right? Once you know yourself and you kind of get a vibe for what you like and what you're into, you just follow that, man. You can't go wrong there.
Yeah. Exactly. And the one thing I will kind of to kind of sum up on this one,
yes,
like I said, there are different people in different areas of the hobby, and they're in it for different reasons. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely fine. No one's going to take anyone to court because they've got a a collecting avenue that someone else disagrees with. No matter how many times I see, almost that kind of level of aggression at times.
Yes, persecution.
Because it's just not fair. So the one thing I will say is that the internet is a great thing. We wouldn't be talking now if it weren't for my dodgy internet connection. But apart from that, we wouldn't be talking now if it wasn't for the internet. We wouldn't have this group. We wouldn't do this podcast. It exists. But the downside about the internet, and there was a wonderful thing, is that people say an awful lot of stuff without any fear of getting a smack in the mouth. So the one thing I will say about the internet, and this is, if anything, the last 4 years have proven, is that be kind.
Yeah.
Just because you can say something, don't say something. Man. And it boils down to a wonderful meme that I saw, and I'm going to say this, and I will bleep this. We've got quite a few bleeps this episode. Everyone is dealing with their own problem. Try not to be a is what it boils down to.
It's true, man.
It is true.
It's true. It's true. Like, and why do you want to be that part of the day? I mean, I know some people don't like all this, talk or whatever. I don't really care what they think. But like for me, I don't want to be someone else's like aggression for the day.
I know.
I don't.
I know.
I just don't. I really don't want to be that person, man. I don't want to add that to someone else's already hard life.
And
I don't know.
And so the thing is with this,
I do think it's fun to smack.
Yeah. With this kind of current,
I think it's fun.
Yeah, with the current thing going on and with all this hype and all that sort of stuff, it's absolutely fine if you're not into it. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine if you are. And I'm sure someone's listening going, well, I don't need your permission. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all.
Right. No, it's not at all. No.
What I'm effectively saying is, different strokes, different strokes. Collect how you like, and if that's the way the hobby's going, that's the way the hobby's going. It's absolutely fine. I'll still collect for the reasons I collect. You still collect for the reasons you collect. But it doesn't mean that the other collector is wrong.
I agree.
That they're being left behind. Doesn't mean that if you're not on board, then you're history.
Yeah.
Collecting in a different way.
And, I do think, and those are beautiful words, a great way to kind of get out of here and get away from the conversation. But, really quickly, if you are a person who likes to buy cards cheaply, because you are doing massive sets and you are collecting a lot of cards, the reason you're probably finding it hard is because while everyone's on one thing in the group and people are posting, it's because it just released and it's going to be at the highest price possible.
Yeah.
Trust me, wait 5-6 months, man, or wait one more month. Go to COMC or eBay and you're going to see all those anime cards for 50 to 25 cents a card. And just go and just put them in your shopping cart. You'll have the whole set for under $100. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? I promise you that will happen just because of the amount of product for chases and inserts and all that stuff. And Ian and I have played that game too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Don't, enjoy what people are showing and then just wait 5 to 6 months and you'll have your thing for the price you wanted. You have it just like you had it in the 90s when Marvel cards were first released. There's a way to balance it out where you don't feel like you're being
absolutely
inched out.
You're being. Yeah, it's not. I know. You always roll your eyes. You roll your eyes when I do this.
Don't do this, Ian. Ian, don't do it. I see. Where are your hands, Ian?
I want to show you.
Where are your hands? I know you want to show me.
I want to show you. No, I want to show you something. Ian, it just so happens there has to be an audio bit.
Of course it does. Of course,
because I can't get into it otherwise.
No, you know what? You son of a. Oh God!
Please
just do it.
Please let me.
Just do it. Just do it.
Thank you. There we go. Right. And
oh my God, that's gonna haunt my dreams.
Really?
How dare you? No, I'm just being funny. I love it.
Right. Where is it? I've acquired something else. I
swear to God, it better be in there.
No, it is in there. Yeah, because otherwise I've got to open the other case, which means repeating the noise. I found this. It is a French sticker set.
Oh,
and it's very recent, last couple of years, and it's smaller than trading card size because I've got it in a mini sleeve.
Oh wow! Oh, that's a really cool one.
And it's actually it's not a sticker. I think it's because it's card. If you look, so it's Marvel.
Oh.
It's a French one.
Villains and heroes. How do you say that in French? How good is your French? Mine's, I don't know.
Un Heros. We're actually learning French again.
Oh, that's nice.
We've gone back into it. I did it at school years ago, but we're learning French because, partly because we want to move to Canada. Anyway, I can't believe I just said that aloud on a public podcast because we haven't told anyone yet. But anyway, but there's Black Cat.
We can bleep it out.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah,
there's Black Cat from the whatever where this set is. So it's like one of those crazy rabbit hole things. I saw it and I was like, it's like €2 plus €2 to ship it. I'm just going to have it.
That's nice.
Yeah. So yeah,
those foreign things, man. Those are hell. Those are, you've been in the game for a long time when you start to diving into the foreign stuff.
Yeah, and I've still got an awful lot of regular stuff to get as well. So, so that's going to be on my goal for this year. This has been an absolute pile of fun. I've got no idea when this episode will drop, or who's on next week's episode, or even on who was on last week's episode as you hear this. But what I will say, people, is as always, at the MCC Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/messages if you wish to. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I always forget to say that. We don't get many, if any, but you can do it. You can do it if you want to. So much like the answer phones of old. And it really, really helps us out if you go to iTunes or Facebook or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Really helps us out. If you dig the show.
Yeah, it really does.
The show, then, well, leave us a review if you want to. But we'd rather you only left us a review if you really like it. For obvious reasons. And that's about it, really. I was going to talk about all the stuff that Travis told us from Upper Deck, but I guess we'll do that another show because we kind of spent ages in a galaxy.
We could do we did. Nice galaxy far, far away. We can go ahead and do a collector's roundtable and talk about Travis stuff, see what people are into.
Yeah, I think so. That might be kind of fun. Yeah. That might be kind of fun and an awesome amount of fun, actually.
Something different. Have some old guests on. Have a little round table.
I think so. Yeah, let's try and do it. If we can figure out that live thing again without killing each other, then.
I think we can get StreamYard because Donald has StreamYard, so we can do that.
Oh.
And we can record it and do it live.
That might be a not bad idea.
Maybe it'll help us out.
We'll see how we go, folks. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Norrin.
Thank you, everybody. And enjoy collecting. Damn it. I went too freaking early. Son of a... I'm okay. Thank you. You've been gorgeous. Mother... Son of a... Okay. I'm good.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. Visuals and tasting notes for each episode can be found on our Facebook page. You can subscribe and leave us a voicemail via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Please take a second to subscribe, like, and review our show wherever you get your podcasts. Our podcast can be found by Googling at the MCC Pod, which will also find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Our Facebook community is at MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists, and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.